Today on the bench, I want to tie you up the copper dog. It's just the Bulldog with a twist. Make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a Mustad R74 size 6, some 6/0 nano silk, black as a thread, some .015 non-lead wire for the weight, some burnt orange marabou for the tail, some medium copper tinsel chenille for the body, some heavy copper wire for the rib, an olive grizzly saddle hackle for the first hackle, and some burnt orange grizzly for the second hackle. I always like a little bit of weight on the fly, so to start the fly off, before I put my thread on, I'm just going to wrap in some small non-lead wire. And again, it's .015, it's quite small, it's just going to add just a little bit of weight to the fly. Move it up, get it close to your eye, and you'll see I've got some left, and just wrap back, put on so it's about, 2/3 the length of the hook, and that'll help build up the body and add a bit of weight. Now the weight's tied in, I'm going to put on my thread, build up a little bit of a dam in front of the weight, and go to the back, tie a little more in there so the body's nice and tapered, cut off your excess, and now we're going to get ready to tie in our other ingredients. Now that we have the body weighted, I've taken actually 2 good clumps of my marabou, my burnt orange marabou. I'm going to make it as long as the length of that hook. Move it to the back and tie it in for the tail. Now I always like to take 1 or 2 wraps behind that tail and then go over and back and front, and that's just going to hold it so it stays nice and parallel with the hook. Now that we have the tail tied in, I've taken some heavy copper wire, and I like the heavy copper wire because I really want to form a rib on this fly. And I'll move that off, and we'll use that to rib up later. Keep that off the back of the hook. I'm now going to take my copper tinsel, and again you could use a variety of different chenilles, but this one is what makes the copper dog special. It's got a really nice glint and color to it, so tie that in and keep that off the back for tying in the body a little later. Now there's 2 different ways to tie in your hackle. I like to tie my hackles in by the tips now and pull them forward over the body, and it seems to just hold them in place a little bit better. Other people like to tie the body in first, then tie in the hackle, wind them back, and wrap it in with your wire. But I prefer this method, so I'm gonna again tie my burnt orange hackle in by the tip, and that's very important. Make sure you tie it in by the tip. Now I've taken a green grizzly hackle, and I'm going to tie it by the tip and move it to the back of the hook. And make sure you wind in quite a bit in the body. At least half of that hackle is used, because that'll hold it nice and tight. Wrap our thread forward in preparation to tie in the body. Now that we have everything tied in off the back of the hook, I'm going to wrap in my body. And again, I want to keep it fairly thin at the start. And now, even if I have to wrap over a couple times just to make that body a little bit fuller, just continue wrapping that copper chenille up over the body. And you can even taper it, make it a little bit bigger towards the head end. But we want a nice full body on this fly. And leave yourself room near the eyelet to tie off. Now that we have the body tied in, I'm going to start with my green hackle, green grizzly, and I'm going to take, and work it up. Probably going to do about, 5 to 6 turns up that fly over the body. And then when I get near the head, I'm going to take 2 or 3 wraps right at the head, right near the eyelet, and then tie off. Now the green hackle's tied in, I'm going to take my burnt orange hackle, and again, same thing, we'll try to follow the green hackle up. And once you get to the head, take 1 or 2 wraps at the head and tie off. And now to hold all the material in place, I'm going to take that copper wire and I'm going to reverse the way I put in the hackles. So I'm going to go the opposite way. And don't worry if some of the barbs get held down. You just work your copper wire all the way up through those hackles. You know, taking 6 or 7 turns all the way up and get right up, pull that material back, go right in front, right at the eyelet where we left a little bit of room, because this actually adds a little bit of weight to the front of that fly, which is quite important. And tie it off right at the eyelet. Now that everything's tied in and we have a little bit of weight at the front, I'm going to pull this material back and I'm going to just build up a black head on that fly. And as you build up the black head, it's going to pull all this hackle back, all this material at the front, and give you a nice winged look on the very front of the fly. Now to finish the fly, as we always do, take your whip finisher. So there it is, the finished copper dog. Just by varying the body color, you can change this entire pattern. Stick to the burnt oranges, which the fish love. You know, the combination orange and green is a real good combination. And we found that that little bit of glitter with the copper body really offsets this fly. To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca. And if you would like to book an adventure like this one shown, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.